All right, let's try again. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Okay. So I'm Chris Bobko. I'm Executive Director at the Zhan Innovation Center. You also see me down here hanging out with Mohammed every once in a while. We do lots of different things, but I'll introduce you quickly to what we're doing at Zhan Innovation Center and hopefully encourage some of you all to participate with us in some things coming up. And then we'll dive into what we're going to talk about today, which is talking about yourselves, talking about your things that you're working on, how to tell your story a little bit, and we'll finish with really getting that down into an elevator pitch as an example, and I'll explain you what that means as well too. So next slide. Maybe? Yeah. Okay. So this is us. We're the Zhan Innovation Center. Mission is to be a startup incubator at our campus. We have two spaces at the moment. One is 2 levels above us in the basement level. It's fairly dormant. Before this space was here doing all of the awesome stuff that this space was doing, we were doing some of that. But it's much better here. So now that space we're still kind of figuring out what to do with, but it's a little bit of an overflow space for it. The other space is our co-working space. So it's a space to meet, to hang out. We've got some goodies there. This is currently in the basement of Marshak. You're welcome to try to come find us. When you go in the main entrance of Marshak, turn left in front of the guard booth. Don't go down the creepy white hallway like you're going to your gym. Turn left in front of the guard booth. Go through a set of black doors that looks like you think you are in the right place where you are in the right place, but keep going. Go through the next set of doors and down a little stairs, and you're like, shit, am I really going to the right place? Yes, you are. You'll see another door that's got a smiley face that says, we're open, come on in, go through that door. Keep going around a right and a left, and you'll see us there. In the summer, this space will move to the NAC building, and we will be kind of behind the Hoffman Lounge and behind that space that you don't see much use of with all the glass where the bookstore used to be and the little sad campus store and all of that. But anyway, we're here. We're usually keeping that office open Monday through Thursday, 9:30 to 4:30. You're also welcome to just look me up and find me. All right, next one. It should work now? Yes. So we have a couple programs. The big one that we sort of are known for is our Startup Incubator program. We're running that right now. We run it every spring at the moment. Applications come in. We'll try to do a lot of stuff to draw applications in the fall. We'd run this in 4 tracks, a hardware track, a software track, social innovation track, and a track dedicated to women. Women-led teams and women-led founders, thanks to a partnership with Standard Chartered Bank. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but there are real prizes. There's real cash, $25,000 to develop the idea for the winning team in each of those tracks. We also collaborate with Makerspace and apprenticeships, and I have a typo in my slides. I'll fix that later. We do one-off seminars and events, and we collaborate with entrepreneurship courses. And in the case that any of you have sisters or cousins or nieces who are high school students, who are high school girls, we are currently having applications open, and they close on April 9th for our summer program, completely free. We'll be in person in July and beginning of August, kind of in the middle of the day. We'll do a lot of entrepreneurship and innovation ideas workshops with those fully in person on campus. There's a few of us that work together, so it's not just me at the Zhan Innovation Center. I'm Executive Director. Keisha is our Managing Director, particularly for the Standard Chartered Women Entrepreneurship Program. We have a new program manager working with us this semester as well, Dee. We have a few interns that you'll see around, so come hang out and meet with us. All of us have very different backgrounds. So I come from an engineering, technical, academic background. Keisha comes from like entrepreneurship, finance, and fashion. Dee comes from the nonprofit universe. interns from different places too. So Ariana is a computer engineering major, Aritzana is a business and econ major, and Valentina is in the branding and integrated communications program. So we try to cast a pretty wide net of the things that we do and the people that we work with. So just to give you a flavor on that as well, this is what your city college and some CUNY colleague students are working on with us at the Zhan Innovation Center right now. So in hardware, we've got, I went too far. Can I go back? Does it work to go back? Oh, good, it works to go back. Site, WindReader, Braille Buddy, COTech, and REH. You can read kind of what they're doing, but a variety of hardware problems. Some of them senior design project related, some of them not. I'd prefer to have less senior design project people in our programs, actually, so don't think that you have to wait until you're seniors to do stuff, please. And the Standard Chartered Women in Tech program, again, we've got a wide variety of folks from biomedical devices to mobile apps to cybersecurity platforms to people providing services. So again, the point of showing you all of this is we've got quite a few different people working on quite a few different ideas, and it's really like expand your mind into how this works, okay? And the last one, the software prize, again, a social networking thing, energy saving, pay you money app, working with students who are tutoring each other. There's always a food idea in the Zhan Innovation Center. So this year there's somebody working on like meal kit stuff. And Tangent Point, helping non-native English speaking students enhance their discipline-specific vocabulary. You'll see our demo day from all of the teams here that have made it through our program requirements to highlight their prototypes, their minimum viable product, and give a sort of an informal table pitch at the NAC Plaza during the top teams here will then be invited to our final pitch event on May the 4th on Star Wars Day, and then we will disperse those prizes. And again, I talked about Boss Girls, so anybody that knows a high school student that would be interested, please share. All right, so the discussion point for today is about pitching and is about storytelling. So it's story time. And so I said I come from an engineering background. So a little bit my story. My story is I started as an undergraduate not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to start in architecture. I got annoyed at architecture that they wanted to build this crazy stuff that would never have a chance to stand up. Moved to something between architecture and engineering. I got involved in engineering, and I kind of found the civil engineering stuff a little boring too, and I was looking come in civil engineering, the innovations come in engineering because so then I got really involved in materials with engineering, and I did that for a while. I became a professor at NC State University working on materials within civil engineering, material science applications, make more sustainable concretes. We'll talk about all of that stuff. I'll talk your ear off about concrete if you let me, so don't get me started on that path. And then I got involved with a startup working on Hyperloop. I actually became engineering employee number 1 at Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, working on really high-speed ground-based transportation. And I had the choice. Do I stay in academia, kind of comfortable, do this stuff, like working with students? Or do I take this crazy road and try what it's like working in a startup? And family circumstances and other things, actually, I made tenure at the same time that I got really involved with Hyperloop, and I said, screw it, I'm out of here. Let's try the startup thing. So I did that for 5 years or so, and that company is still going. I wish them well. I'm very much still lightly involved with them. And if they ever have a fundraising where my stock options are worth something, you'll see the Bobco lecture hall at City College because I'll have a lot of money, but that'll also be like winning the lottery. So we'll see. I got bored again a little bit, I guess you could say, and I missed the idea to work with students again, and I missed kind of really being at that super early stage of the startup process, which was really fun at the beginning, like really exploring what the hell are we doing here and how the heck are we going to do it. So I was looking for opportunities, and that's kind of how I landed here. So that's what I'm doing now, is back working with students, working with people like you all, helping you guys think about your early stage, helping you guys think about how you might take what you're doing and turn it into a product or turning it into a company. And I'm here working on students. So that's me, that's my story, that's what we're doing. So that's my story time. Hopefully that's an example of the kind of things that I'm going to coach you through to be able to tell your story in a kind of a similar way. So people will start when you talk about pitching and when you talk about storytelling, it starts with know your audience. Yeah, okay, fine. For me, know your audience is pretty boring and not the full part of the picture, right? Like know your audience. Okay, I'm talking to college students, great. What the hell am I talking to college students about today? That's more important. And so for me, my key message here is I'm going to try to teach you something. And that's usually one of the frames that is your key message. And the other kind of a frame for your key message is I'm going to ask you to do something. Pretty much these are the two categories. Your key message is either I'm trying to get a point across to you, or I'm going to try to ask you to do something or invite you to come along for me or get you to give me money or get you to buy the product that I'm selling to you. That's a key message. And that's for me like really, and yeah, the audience is part of that because I'm not going to go talk to third grade students about venture capital and how a series A and B and C works. But I might go talk to them about, you could imagine to start your own business. Okay, so audience is part of it, but the idea is what am I really trying to talk? You can also have multiple key messages that lead into one big key message. So you can imagine setting yourself up and setting your script up as first I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to land one key message because that's going to take me onto the journey to land the next key message. And maybe I'm going to try to teach them to do something else, which is going to be the next key message. And then once they're fully on board with me, I'm going to really land at the end, which is the ask, would you please come along this journey with me? So that means you need to still have that big picture ask in mind so you can craft that journey. What's the next key message along the way? So think about what's your key message. Usually it's something that you're teaching or sharing, or it's something that you're asking or inviting. All right. Framework. There's lots of different kinds of frameworks for storytelling. I kind of like this one. These are all just sort of crutches and rules, and then once you start learning about what the rules are, then you can go off and break the rules. That's cool, but if you don't have experience, it's better to start with somewhere where you have some rules. So there's this framework called and, but, therefore. And you'll see it a lot in people that talk about storytelling. So the and is you're providing a specific details, and try to be as specific as you can. So you're talking specific details around time. You're talking specific details around place or feeling or the size of a thing that you're talking about or what it smells like or whatever it is. And you're going through this and you're going to do an and and an and and an and and an and and an and. But a good story is not just a series of ands. In fact, the world's most boring story is the series of ands. And it's what toddlers often are doing when they're first learning to tell the story, right? So if you've got little kids at home or in your family or whatever else, right? You're like, so what'd you do at school today? Well, we went to the playground, and then I saw Billy, and then we had lunch, and it was pizza, and then I did this, and then I did, and you're like, oh my God, that's great, but what the hell is your point? And we gravitate towards continuing to do that, right? Because they're just like, oh, this was my experience, and I did this, and I did this. I'm like, okay, great, you're really cute. But Like, where was the shift or where was the conflict? So your ands are setting up all of the details and bringing people into the story. But the story, the interesting part of the story is there's a shift. So I tried to give you actually a couple shifts in my story when I was telling you I did a bunch of the ands. I was on this career path. I was doing this. I went down this road. I did this. I was doing the academic thing. I was successful at it. But I wanted to try something new. And therefore, I launched into this idea of really pursuing the startup. And then I kept going, and we talked a little bit the startup and blah, blah, blah. But it still wasn't what I really wanted to be doing. And then I ended up doing this and this and this, and therefore I'm here with you guys this morning, right? That's kind of that way of that story. And that should be providing the key message. And for me today, the key message is telling you about telling stories, teaching you about teaching stories. Yep. Like it says on the shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, and repeat. So this and, but, therefore goes on for as many cycles as is appropriate for you to get the key messages across that you want to be doing. If you think about it in terms of a TV show, or a podcast, or a YouTube, okay, these are going on for like 20 minutes maybe, right, with commercials. They're going on for 30 minutes, right? There's more than one cycle of and, but, therefore in that podcast. There's more than one cycle of and, but, therefore in that TV show, in that YouTube clip, right? They're doing this and this and this, and but, and then you're introducing some conflict, and the therefore, and then da-da-da. So lather, rinse, and repeat this idea as often as makes sense for you. But that's the idea. Okay, that's a framework. Now, I told you a lot of stuff. Checking time. And I said give a lot of details. And my next tip is simplify. And I know this is a little bit at odds from saying provide a lot of details. So I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Yeah. As you iterate on this, as you revise your drafts, as you go through the things, come back and say, okay, I said too much about that. It's boring. It took too long. Cut it. Go and look at the next thing. Okay, I practiced this, and you know, the last time I said that out loud, I wasted way too much time on this. Out. Be ruthless. Simplify. Take away all of the distractions, whether it's the added fact that you didn't need to tell, or the aside that you thought was funny but wasn't that funny, or you put 5,000 graphics on your slides, and you have the graphics and the slides, and you have your prototype over here, and you've got 3 people, and one of them's looking at their phone, and blah, blah, blah. It's all distractions. So try to remove as much of that distraction as you can, because you're taking away from getting into that key message and the details and the buts and the therefores that are supporting that key message. And when you're done simplifying, go take a walk and come back and cut out 10% more, because I guarantee you can. Simplify some more. Really, what is serving you to get to your key message? All right. Next tip. Try to find a ways to engage with your audience. And my first one here is an authentic enthusiasm. And I actually challenge you to think about how you talk about stuff that excites you with your friends and your family. And then I get you in a classroom, or I get you in a pitch practice, and you sound nothing like that. Like, where was that first person? I don't get it. I'm not asking you to be like, yeah, cool, I invite you, this is Shark Tank, I'm pitching, blah, 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 let's tell a funny story, let's sing a little song, sharks, please come invest with us. If that's not you, then don't do that. But think about, like, you're hanging out with your friends, or you're hanging out with your family. Oh my God, I went out to this awesome restaurant the other night. I'd never been there before. The food was fucking amazing. Okay, maybe if you swear as much as I do on that stuff, you want to tone that down a little bit. But, right, like, you have that passion for it. You have that excitement for it. And then you get to your class project. So We put together a circuit board, and it has these features. I don't care. You don't care. Why don't you care? You just worked on this for 2 weeks. Show a little bit of that excitement. Channel some of that same enthusiasm about how awesome the dinner was, or how much fun it was to play video games with your friends, and like, you crushed that guy. Oh man, he was toast. So keep those kind of in your mind. Like, that's your authentic way of expressing the enthusiasm. Even if you don't have that enthusiasm for your class project, but that's a key way to fake that enthusiasm a little bit, is for you of, well, when I talked about my video game crushing, or when I talked about that really awesome pita sandwich I had the other day, or how amazing it was that I met somebody for a first date, I'm just so excited to talk about it. Channel that. That's your way of expressing your enthusiasm. That's your authentic enthusiasm. Next one, do a little bit of eye contact. Pick a couple of people that you're talking to. Make sure you're looking at them every once in a while. Move around the room a little bit. So you've seen me dancing. Sorry, John, you've had to adjust the camera a bunch of times, and it's not as nice for the people that are watching on the camera, but it's much nicer for the folks that are watching in person if I'm not just standing here like a statue the whole time. And then you also have an additional little tip here, which is when you're really trying to land that point, or when you're really trying to invite somebody in with you, taking a couple steps forwards is super engaging. And then the last bit of engagement is, and I've been guilty of it now for the last 20 minutes, so sorry for that. Leave some time for some questions. Leave some time for that pause, or ask some questions. Start your talk. Hey, who here has ever thought about starting their own business? Who here thought about starting your own business?
Nobody thought about starting their own business?
There's a few over here, right? And so, like, that's a reason that you should be involved with us at the Zhan Innovation Center. And maybe we should talk more about that afterwards, right? Like, if you have some time, let's talk about what you're working on and do that. So this, all of these, doesn't have to do everyone every time, but think about how each of these can play a role in your engagement.
Skills, and I might make Chris redo this thing again, or maybe you guys have you guys give me a break. These skills are very key for your success. This is like 50% of your success right here. The other 50% is what you can actually do, but like maybe more. If you're a motion artist, this is 80% of your success. All right. So really, what he's giving you right here is the keys to anyone taking you seriously ever, or anyone listening to you ever. Because as you all know, you're in school right now. That's great. There are people that care about you. Once you leave here and you're in your professional realm, nobody cares. And so, like, and as your family and friends in the world has told you, time is money, and you not doing this is you wasting somebody's time, and they will not give you any of their effort, brain, money, resources, whatever it is, if you're wasting their time. So learn this as well as you learn any skill in this school, ever. All right, keep going.
Mohammed's my hype man. It's awesome. It's useful to have those people around too. All right, next thing that I wanted to talk about was owning your own story. And so in the frame of thinking about how we're always talking about stuff in terms of stories, and there's a reason that we talk about stuff in terms of stories, because we're social humans, are social animals. We are not the lone lion striking off in the desert. Lions don't live in the desert, Chris. You know what I mean? We work together. We talk with each other. The way our culture has evolved, the way our bodies have evolved with our culture, is to interact with each other by telling stories. So it's at the core of us being social. And then stories are not usually about things that happened on their own. Stories are about characters. So you're the character for your story, so own your story. Own yourself as the character in that story. So they're about the character, they're about main characters, they're about relationships between main characters. People want to hear more about a deeper you than they want to hear about the features or the list of experiences or qualifications that you have. So as you're starting to think about talking about yourself, like, you need to go a little bit deep. So that means you do have to go deep, of as comfortable as you're with and as appropriate for your situation and your key messages that you want to get across. But think about that, which means that you do have to do some work of some of that self-reflection. I think everybody, when they turn 21, ought to be gifted a therapist at the same time that they turn 21. At the same time that you're finally allowed to go buy a beer at the bodega, you should also have access to a therapist if you don't have one already. Also services that colleges and universities can help hook you up with, but do that sort of work on that self-reflection so that you can go and be honest about who you are and what you are. But think about the key experiences in your life. Think about what were the turning points in your life. Think about this experience as maybe one of those. I hope that this apprenticeship in the makerspace, like, you might have been sitting around at the Grove School just doing problem sets and wondering, am I ever going to actually do the thing that I hoped I might do when I started to think about being an engineer? Or am I just going to solve calculus problems for 5 years? Right? And so doing this might have been a turning point for you. Like, oh, I finally got out of the problem sets and I got to do something that was hands-on, and this might be something that you end up talking about as part of your story. Combinations of things that make us unique. Sometimes I do an icebreaker with people where we'll stand around in the circle and you have to try to think about what's making you unique from all of the other people that are in the circle. It's a nice little icebreaker for about 20 to 30 people. And you might have something in mind and then you realize, oh, I said that, but like 3 other people raised their hand and said, nope, that's not me unique. But if you add the next thing, I do this and what I really specialize in when I play trombone is New Orleans style jazz. Okay, then that's more unique to me than just, oh, I play music. I play music, probably 7 people will raise their hand. I play trombone, there might be 2 other trombonists in the audience. All right, we're leveling up skills. Leveling up skills takes practice. So find some opportunities to practice. Find some low stakes opportunities to practice where really nobody gives a shit. Cool. We try to provide you those kinds of things. Events on campus are great for this because, like, you're just hiding out on campus with a bunch of other people who are kind of like you. Low stakes. Nobody on campus is giving you a job. Nobody on campus is going to invest in your company. Nobody So it's low stakes. So it's a place to practice. New York City is also really great for like tech-related meetups and tech-related networking things and whatever. And so just, show up and start doing some stuff. When you're there, set some personal goals. This is my little coping mechanism. I am not a natural extrovert. I am not a natural talker. I used to really, really hate going to networking events. I still find them very uncomfortable. But it's important, so I do it. It's important, so it's things that I've practiced on. What I like to do for myself when I'm like really going in cold is set my little goal. It's like, I don't have to, this thing lasts 2 hours. Oh my God, I don't have to stay here for 2 hours, please. Oh, I don't want to do it. I'm going to make sure I talk to 3 people that I haven't met before. That's my goal for today. Once I've reached that goal, I can decide for myself, am I still feeling good? And like, was that interesting? And do I want to do 3 more, or do I want to get the hell out of here? And I'll give myself that opportunity to bounce and be like, the exit is over there. As soon as I check off my goals, I'm going to break out into a sweat. I'm out of here, but I'm going to do that. And I'll give myself the flexibility to do that. I want you to know that this is hard for everyone, almost. There's some weirdos that it's not quite as hard for. They're really weird. It's hard for almost everyone, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in between. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, it just manifests how hard it is in different ways. Something else my therapist told me. She's an extrovert. She's like, I hate going to that stuff too, because what I'm afraid of, I'm afraid that I say too much, that I'm just going to start oversharing, that I have verbal diarrhea, and like it makes me nervous, and like there's nobody going to like me because I said something stupid. I'm like, I hate going to those because I'm like, what if I say anything? But we all have those fears. We all have those. So understand that everybody else, even though they look like they are happier being there than you are, they probably are just there because they've got more practice with it. They look happier because they're more comfortable with it, and they're faking it better. Oh crap, I'm gonna make you practice, aren't I? Yep. So what we're gonna talk about in terms of practice is the elevator pitch. So elevator pitch, if you've never heard of an elevator pitch before, the legend behind the elevator pitch is you imagine that you have an opportunity to speak and present an idea about something that you're working on or your project or something to an executive at the company you're working on. I've got this really great idea, but I can't ever seem to get anybody to take me up on it. But if we could make the company millions. I'd be promoted to the shiny corner office, cool. But nobody's ever taken me seriously. And like I just bump into the chief technology officer in the elevator who happens to be on site that day, and I've got 30 seconds with her. How do I sell her on what I'm doing? That's the idea of the elevator pitch. It doesn't have to be in an elevator. More often than in elevators these days, we're standing in line waiting for our mobile orders to be delivered at Dunkin' or at Starbucks. Or you might get caught on the subway in New York City or whatever else, right? But we still call it an elevator pitch. So that's the idea. About 30 seconds or less. So this is an opportunity to practice all of the things that we talked about for the last 25 minutes in condensing it into 30 seconds, which means the simplify is really, really, really important for this one, as well as the practice, because 30 seconds is hard to try to get everything that you want to get across. So practice it until it becomes a little bit more natural. And it's the kind of thing that you can stand in your bathroom at home and actually just look at yourself in the mirror and practice what your elevator pitch is for that 30 seconds. And you're actually not wasting anybody else's time in the bathroom because you're only doing it for 30 seconds. So think again about what's your key message or ask. And very often for the elevator pitch, it could be, I need more time with you, but I want to hook you in so that you agree to give me more time. That could be your key ask, is I'm trying to get you excited about this idea that I have. When can I spend 15 minutes with you to talk about it a little bit more? It might be your key ask. Keep that in mind, right? You're not asking them to approve a $2 million investment and a team of 10 engineers working with you. You're not going to get that in 30 seconds, right? That's not a reasonable key ask. But a very reasonable key ask is, hey, I see you're in town. Can I grab you for 15 minutes and we can talk about this idea? Good key ask. Okay. Storytelling. In the 30 seconds or less, you really only have one time for the one beat of the and, but, therefore cycle. And the storytelling, script writers will talk about this in terms of beats. If you've ever done music, you know a concept of the beat. It's this thing, da-dum, ba-bum, ba-bum. So you really only have one of those. So think about what are your ands, a couple ands. So I've got this really great idea. It involves taking the technology that our company already works on, but bringing it into a new market. I looked at the existing marketplace and nobody is really doing this yet, but there's a huge need for it. That's the shift. Therefore, I think we should try to expand into this in our company. And I have 15 minutes with you to explain this a little bit better. But we're not doing it yet. Nobody else is. The people that are doing it suck at it. Therefore, we should do it. Can I get your help? Your authentic enthusiasm again, and hopefully this is an idea that you're pitching. The authentic enthusiasm shouldn't be as hard as it is to stand up and say, we printed this circuit board in my class today and it has these transistors. Because it's something that you're interested in, but channel that authentic enthusiasm. And maybe you have 2 or 3 versions on deck in your head depending on who you're talking to. I do. If I'm talking to somebody that's going to try to give the Zhan Center money, I have a different version of how I talk about it than when I'm talking about it with students that I'm trying to enroll in our programs. Because I got a different audience and I got a different ask. Okay. Bonus tips for when things go weird, because things will go weird. And then I'll make you practice, but I wanted to do the bonus tips first. So bonus tips for when things go weird, or if you like the classic, when things go weird, or if you like the really classic, when things go weird and you want to try to retreat in the hedges. Some bonus tips for when things go weird. You might have lull in a conversation. A lull in a conversation is a great time to ask the person that you're talking to a question. So come prepared with a couple variations on a theme of a question, like, hey, what are you working on? People like talking about themselves. Hey, what are you working on? What's interesting in your job today? What's the latest project that you're trying to tackle? Can you talk about that a little bit? Or maybe you were at an event where there was like a discussion or a keynote speaker or a panel discussion, and then you were like doing this awkward mingling and trying to juggle food and a beverage, and no mouth is full, and you're talking to somebody. Hey, what was interesting about the panel? What did you find most interesting about the panel? Which is then a good time for you to take that last bite of the thing and put it down, so they're talking and now your mouth is not full anymore. Right? Or, I don't know, what do you think about blockchain? Boy, crypto really took a hit, didn't it? Like, what's going to happen next with blockchain? What do you think? Everybody's got an opinion about blockchain technology, right? So easy things to do. If you're making your apps and you're getting things like, hey, that's cool, but that's not really what I do, and you sense that their attention in your stuff is fading, pivot. There's a pivot here. Okay, well, hey, is there somebody else that you think I ought to talk to? Do you know somebody else that might be interested in this? So those things where they're saying no, when you're doing sales, everybody always tells you for sales, and no is just an opportunity to get more information, which drives me nuts about the salespeople, because I just sometimes want to say, no, I'm not interested. Oh, well, how can we really help you? I'm not interested. But for you, you're getting that vibe of they're not interested, but they might still be interested in helping you. They're just not that person to help you, but they can introduce you to somebody else. So a nice little question of hey, is there somebody else that you know that I should talk to? And the last one is you can always escape. So don't ever feel like you're trapped in conversations. You can always politely escape conversations, at least when you're not in a lecture like this where you're required to be here. You can always escape those kinds of conversations and like, okay, I'm done. But you can be more polite about saying I'm done. It's like, oh, well, it's really great meeting you. I'll see you around. Or, oh, it was really great meeting you. Thanks for your time. Just politely close the conversation. It's okay. It's especially okay. I learned this when I was doing it as a volunteer organization with some kind of weird folks. Interesting but weird. Great. A couple of them are like just talk, total verbal diarrhea. Talk. They're so used to people just ending the conversation on them that you can do the same thing and they won't care. They will still like you. Because they're just the talk people. So like just, okay, I'm done. Nice talking to you. I'll see you next time. Bye. I got to go do something else. You're not trapped. Just be polite. End politely. It's good. All right. So let's do some practice. Elevator pitch. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do one thing with one or two people, and then we're going to pair off. Who wants to put themselves on the spot? Okay, so we're going to pitch yourself for an internship. Who wants to practice pitching themselves for an internship? Who wants an internship? All right, we got one. Who else wants an internship? Two. Okay, my two front row guys. Of course, it's the guys in the front row. No, it's fine. Okay, so I'll start with you. You're on deck. What's your name? Gregory. And you? Carlos? Gregory and Carlos. Thank you, Gregory and Carlos. Okay, Gregory, what's the key message that you want to get across? Okay, that's half of the key message. Why would I hire you?
Because I got experience in the CiPASS space.
Okay, perfect. All right, so your key message is you're looking for an internship and you have some experience behind it that is relevant for it. Great, perfect. Okay. So what are some details that would start in our ands? So what are some details? So first detail, I asked you already your name. That's a good detail. Second detail we know is that you're a City College student, but other people that you're stuck in the elevator with might not be. What are you studying at City College? Electrical engineering. So your name is Gregory. You're an electrical engineering student at City College. Okay, give me two more N's. And
I'm really into data analytics.
cool. When do you expect to graduate? Okay, so I'm going to say it, but you're going to repeat it with me. Hi, my name is Gregory. I'm an electrical engineering student at City College of New York. I'm really interested in data analytics. I graduated 2025. I'm doing this apprenticeship program at CiPASS that I'm hoping is leading me into an internship. Do you have any internship positions available at your company? And you can put it in your own words, and maybe slower because I talk fast.
Hey, my name is Gregory Sanchez. I am an electrical engineering undergraduate at college. I was doing the CiPASS internship in the CCNY makerspace, and I was really hoping that we need to.
Awesome. Round of applause for Gregory. Thank you. Not too painful. Carlos, give me some ands. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. What'd you do in that internship? Okay. Okay. Yep. Uh-huh.
And evaporate faster.
Okay. So lots of ands. We had a lot of ands, so I'm going to think about simplifying that with you. What was hard?
Thinking about the wheel.
Why?
Thinking about how would that make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we need like a solar device
Mm-hmm.
with the lumens. And when the sun comes, then it's the point of evaporation.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps like for the power, for the solar to get into the device, and so it helps you absorb more heat and still faster.
Okay. So what was hard was you had a hard time getting towards those ideas.
Yeah.
But then you got an idea, and then you started prototyping it and running with it, right? How many prototypes did you make?
Just one.
Just the one. What did you do with the prototype?
we were about to test it.
Okay.
And then with that,
Okay. Did somebody test it afterwards?
not yet.
Okay. I love those internships. Okay. Good. So, all right. So you gave me a lot of ands. So we're going to think about which are the ands that are the most important, right? Because the whole bit of details of how everything works and all of that is probably not really relevant in the 30 seconds to your key message, which was you want an internship, right? But what's interesting is that you have some experience. You have definitely gone through that challenge of not knowing what to do, but then saying, okay, well, let me just sit down and start prototyping something. And you've gone through the exercise of doing that prototyping, and you have specific hands-on skills that were useful for that prototyping, right? Okay, so I think this is getting towards, you're going to do a little bit of and, but, and, therefore, in this one. And I asked this is like, well, what was your challenge, right? What was hard? Because I was getting this sort of verbal and I didn't have a challenge. I didn't have a conflict. I didn't have a switch with you yet, right? So then this is a thing that you can often ask is like, well, what was hard? And then how did you overcome what was hard, right? That can be a shift because it was hard. Carlos overcame something like, oh, I got this thing that the professor asked me to do in the research internship. Like, where did I get started? Okay, so I'm gonna try to see if I can redo your elevator pitch and then you can make it your own. My name is Carlos. I'm a mechanical engineering student at the City College of New York. I've done one round of internship with the CiPASS program already, where I worked on a research project with a professor here, where we were working on some new technology for using solar panels and evaporating liquids, and I don't have the details right. But it was really hard. It was the first time that I was faced with this kind of open-ended problem of how to design something, and I didn't know what to do. But eventually, we did this prototype, and we made the first things hands-on, and it was a really great experience. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to test it, and I'd really like a chance to continue that process in my next internship. Do you have any idea of how I can work with you? Make sense? Can you take that and make it your own?
As an internship, I had an hands-on experience as an internship last year at CiPASS, where I was able to make a device to purify water because unfortunately we were not able to test it. But this is the idea that I would like to get the hands-on experience and continue developing my skills in the world. So I was wondering if there is any opportunities available for an internship.
Very good. Thank you, Carlos. Give Carlos a hand as well. So I'm going to say it was very good. I'm going to give you a B compared to Gregory's A. B is great, but the improvement is, for me, the interesting challenge is the challenge that's about yourself rather than the challenge that was about the circumstance that you didn't get to test, right? So yeah, it sucks you didn't get to test it. I'm sorry about that. But that doesn't have anything to do with the main character in our story, which is Carlos. Carlos, the main character in Carlos's story, right? So the shift, the challenge that you had that's interesting about you is not that you didn't get to test it. The challenge that's interesting for you is this was hard to get started because it was the first time. I think that's a stronger but in your story. You gave me an and but therefore, so that's why you got the B on the assignment. Good job on the assignment. But I think we could make it stronger with a different, stronger but. Okay? Everybody got it? All right, how much time do we have? We're over time because we started late. What's that, Omar?
I'm in no rush, and also some students actually only get out of class at 12:30. Stalling is better.
Okay, cool. So we're going to pair up, and I'm going to make sure that, let's see, about the dividing line is right here. So everybody on this side of the dividing line needs to go talk to somebody on this side of the dividing line, and everybody on this side of the dividing line needs to go talk to somebody on this side of the dividing line. And I want you to do what I just did before you launch into your elevator pitch. So I want one of you to interview the other, because sometimes this is easier when we ask each other questions about ourselves rather than just coming up with it ourselves. So I want you to do what I just modeled with the Gregory and Carlos. Ask a couple questions. What are the ands? What is we're all pretending that we're looking for an internship, so the key ask is the same. What are the ands that are telling some important details about yourself? Yourself, not necessarily your list of accomplishments, but that's part of it. Some ands, and then what's the shift? What was hard? What changed your mind? Why did you think you were doing this, but then you ended up doing that instead? Whatever that is. So see if you can help figure out a shift and then do that as an ask. And then have them practice an elevator pitch based on the questions that you asked. We'll do that for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes asking questions, 30 seconds to practice the elevator pitch, and switch. Make sense? Instructions clear? Okay, repeat the instructions back to me. Your name is? Abdel, thank you. I'm sorry to point at you and put you on the spot, but I'm doing it anyways. Repeat the instructions back to me. Yes. Okay. And what are the 3 things that we're doing? The 3 key storytelling framework beats. And, buts, and therefore. So you're going to ask for the ands. You're going to try to help them find a but, and then lead that into the, can you help me find an internship? Got it? Okay. So again, it was about half here. So I want to make sure everybody on this side is pairing up with somebody over here. Everybody over here is pairing up with somebody over here. Don't waste my time figuring out who your partner is. I hate that. So you have 1 minute to go find a partner. Go. Are we close?
Now you got an odd number. No, you got an even number. Uh-oh.
Who doesn't have a partner yet? Raise your hand if you don't have a partner. Okay, your 3 minutes for your interview starts now. I'm timing you. First, I'm going to put person that's pitching first. I'm going to give you 30 seconds in a second. I'm just letting you catch your breath. Collect your thoughts for a second. But you're going to have exactly 30 seconds to try to do your version of the elevator pitch for yourself that you just talked about. Your key ask is you want an internship. You've got a couple buts, a couple ands, 1 but, into therefore I think it would be great for you to hire me as an intern. Okay, 30 seconds. You know who's starting? Okay, go. All right, the elevator door opened and the exec is out the door. How many people finished? Raise your hand if you finished. Raise your hand if you didn't finish yet. 30 seconds is hard. It's why it requires practice. So good job if you finished. More practice if you didn't. Right? All right. Repeat the process. If you were being interviewed, you are now the interviewee who will give the elevator pitch for themselves. We'll reset this again. 3 minutes to do some interviews and discuss and do a little bit of practice. We'll do a break, and then I'll time you again for 30 seconds. All right? Elevator pitch. Ugh, and I hate when I hear the sound of my voice. It's even worse. That's okay. I'll live with it. Okay. You're going to have 30 seconds. Practice your pitch back to the person that was helping you think about it, and I'll stop you at 30 seconds. Go. All right. Who finished this time? Raise your hand if you finished. Who didn't finish yet? Whose elevator opened on them before they could finish? I still hear people talking, so the elevator definitely opened. All right, very good, very good. So I'll wrap up my time here with you. I can answer any questions you have, but as sort of a checkout, I want to hear. I won't stop until I hear 5 responses to the following question for you. What was the key takeaway that you got from today? Practice. Okay, I need a different key takeaway. Simplify. Awesome. Yep. Engaging. Tell me about engaging for a second. What comes up for engaging for you? Beautiful. Good. 2 more. Anything resonate with anybody? Key takeaway? Yes. Why you want the internship? Fantastic. Good. And 1 more? Think about your key message. What were my 2 categories of key message? Help them out. What were my 2 categories of key message? Yes. 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 Teaching or asking. Exactly. Very good. Thank you so much. Good luck with your projects. Come see me at the Zhan Center sometime. I hope to see each of you thinking about a business idea. When I started asked that, I saw a bunch of hands up. That's what we're here for. It's literally my job. It's literally why they pay me to show up. So you're not imposing. It's why I'm here. It's what I'm doing. Thanks.